Jordans there, very nice, very nice. Well, an Adidas man these days myself. But,
all about Jordans.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna dip back into Jordans this year. Gonna get a few collections going. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm a little bit hungover, so allow me.
No, of course.
A little bit hungover. I just flew straight in from France, played in France last night.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
And how was that?
Excellent, yeah, really, really good. It's in Lyon. Yeah,
oh, amazing.
Defected party, yeah, really good.
Fantastic. And how's things with Defected at the moment?
Flying, absolutely flying. I mean, we've got Croatia coming up, Ibiza. We've got our first festival, London Festival in September.
Good.
Yeah, they're keeping me busy.
Keeping you honest.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Very good. So in terms of just sort of starting out here, I mean, just to get a sense of the journey, because obviously everything that you just said sounds absolutely fantastic, but
on paper,
on paper, we also have to actually live it. I mean, I hosted the mental health panel this morning as well, so we were talking about the realities behind all of that as well. So
absolutely.
Might be something we might need to have a bit of a chat about. But in terms of the journey, then, I mean, where was the starting point, and you know what really drove you into this life in the first place? So
a lot of my friends were trance and hard house DJs, and one of my pals used to work in Tower Records. I'm from Western-super-Mare originally. I live in London now, and I was just kind of messing about on his decks, and I thought, yeah, I can get into this. So I just literally bought some decks, and I was just in his record shop like every single week. And I've actually first started out playing hard house for 2 years, and my pal was running a party in Bristol, and it was a subliminal party with Harry Choo Choo Ramiro, and one of the DJs couldn't make it, so he said, can you play a house set? And I was like, well, I haven't got any house vinyl. I was playing vinyl then, so my friend lent me his records, and I never played hard house after that. I was just fully into soulful house. I started working in a record shop in Western-super-Mare, Saturdays for free. That then led on to a full-time job. I did a year there, then I was headhunted at Chemical Records in Bristol.
Wow.
And I was the house buyer there for 2 years, which was amazing. I had unlimited funds. It was like Christmas every day with boxes and boxes of vinyl. And then that's kind of where my addiction then really kind of kicked in, because the warehouse was downstairs and the office was on top, and on Mondays we'd always pick the orders. So I'd be like, one for me, one for the customer, one for me, one for the customer, and just started building up my record collection. And then I did my first season in Ibiza. I mean, I kind of skipped quite a lot actually. I was just playing for free in nightclubs on the seafront in Western-super-Mare, and kind of got my skills, I guess, because I was warming up. So, you know, that played a really, really important time in my life of warming up a really busy club. I was warming up for like Judge Jules, kind of like Lisa Lashes at the time, loads of bods. And I didn't really kind of know who these DJs were, because originally I haven't always been a house head. I'm 90s R&B girl, and I love garage, and I like a little bit of drum and bass. I was actually into happy hardcore for quite a while. So the journey for house for me is been about 15 years. I've been playing house for a really long time. And I was always really into Defected. Like my record collection was Defected, Sulfuric, Subliminal, King Street, you know, all the good stuff. And I went to Ibiza religiously from about the beginning of 2000. I did my first season in 2005. And I had one night off a week, and it was a Tuesday at Pasha. And Defected was on a Tuesday at Pasha, every Tuesday, so I used to go. And Aaron Ross at the time, he was the A&R at Defected. He used to come into the record shop where I worked in Notting Hill, and I used to sell him records. So he said, oh, come backstage next time you're out in Ibiza, which I did, and I was just like, hi Simon, hi Simon, hi Simon. He must be like, who is this chick? Like literally in his face, hounding him for promos, and you know, just kind of, I was like a sponge. I just wanted to know absolutely everything and know all the DJs. And the relationship with Defected actually started out in 2008, and they just created this job, and it was called, I was like part of the street team. So what they wanted me to do is relay back to them all of the tracks that were being played in Ibiza, all the Defected tracks, who was playing it, what clubs were playing it, and I did that for a year. And then they offered me, even before I was actually a resident DJ, they offered me an events manager position at Pasha. Bit their hand off, never done anything like that in my life before. I'd run my own parties in London, but I'd never, it was more of the logistical side. I had to book all the hotels, I had to book all the flights, I had to pick all the artists up from the airport, drop them to their hotels, then take them for dinner, do the pre-party at Mambo, set all that up, then get them back to the hotel, then get them to the club, and it was just, it was mind-blowing. It really, really was mind-blowing. And at the end of that summer, I was like, I hate Defected. I don't ever want to work for them ever again. Every Sunday I used to be on the phone crying to my dad because it was just, it was a lot, you know, and it was literally sink or swim.
Yeah.
And at the end of that summer, Simon was like, I'm going to fly you back to London, I'm going to put you on a warm-up set at Ministry of Sound and see how you go. And I remember I had like about 50 of my pals that came, and one of my favourite tracks is Kings of Tomorrow, Finally.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting up on the decks and singing it, and everyone singing it back to me. And then when I looked over, Simon was stood at the end of the booth, just kind of like smiling but shaking his head. I was thinking, oh no, have I messed this up? What have I done? Because that was always a track, you know, I played in Ibiza, and that's what I used to do in Ibiza. And on the Monday, I got a phone call and I was signed to the DJ roster.
Amazing.
And that was in 2009.
Mm. Wow, so a hell of a journey over
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you know, even starting when I first got my decks, my mum wouldn't let me in the house for a good couple of years, and I used to have the deck set up in my mum's shed. And come, you know, wind, rain or fire, I was out there, you know, freezing. She got me like a little heater, and that was, I think, like, because she felt guilty. And then when I moved into the house playing, you know, my decks were set up on my mum's ironing board. And I just used to have like a big mirror, and I used to pretend to play into like thousands of people.
Did Solomon come round and play on your ironing board?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the journey from, you know, playing hard house and playing with, you know, cream of the crop, and then in the hard dance scene for sure. You know, Lisa Pinup was actually the DJ that got me into DJing. I remember seeing her in Bristol, and I was just completely mesmerised by how she had she was like conducting the crowd, you know, and it was just I was just sat there like that for 2 hours, and the next day I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be, a DJ.
So yeah, here's a question for you, because obviously it's been such a major topic in the last few years about women in music, and the fact that you have blazed the trail in the last sort of 20 or so years, and you know, I've had a similar sort of time frame in terms of my history. Working for the likes of Cream and everything else back in the day, and you know, you could count on the fingers of one hand the amount of top level female talent there was in the back end of the 90s, you know, like Lottie and Smoke and Joe and Joe Mills, and they were all predominantly house names. But how important was it for you to have Lisa Pinup as a female trailblazer? Would that have really added to the fact that you felt like you could do it, or would you have, say, for example, found a male equivalent that would have inspired you? I mean, the fact that she was a woman, was that an important aspect for you?
Absolutely. I think, you know, I always said before I became a full-time DJ, I was a full-time raver. You know, from the age of 16, really, I was doing like free parties, you know, going to raves all the time, like Cole Cox was like one of my favourites. And I don't know, with that element, I think being a female DJ and actually being inspired and having so many girls message me saying, you know, I've inspired them to be a DJ. I mean, I've got someone at the moment that's as young as 12, you know, and I'm kind of sending her some tracks on my label and told her what equipment to get, and it's just insane. 12 years old. You know, I didn't get my first set of decks till I was 22. I was quite late. And I think that now, you know, I feel like I have to be a voice for female DJs, because it is hard. It's very, if I'm being completely honest, it's very critical. There's a lot of male chauvinist pigs in the industry. And it's hard, you know, it is really hard. And I think the reason why there's not so many female DJs is because they also have a bad rep as well. Not so much now. It's changing, and it's changing really, really fast. And I'll talk about Defected in a moment, signing a couple of female artists this summer. But going back to that is that I've totally lost my trail of thought then.
About female empowerment and the fact that, you know, these young DJs are coming through and you feel like...
Yeah, I think when I first started, I mean, there was Lisa Pinup, Lisa Lashes, all the DJs that you mentioned then, and then they all seem to just go off the edge of the cliff, probably to have families. And it's really hard to get back into it touring. It's completely different for a female to have a child. I mean, I haven't got a child, but a lot of my male friends have got kids. And then, you know, the woman's at home and he goes off touring still. What are you going to do? I only know really Cassie that takes her, not Cassie, literally, is it Cassie? I'll have to come back to you on that. But she takes her kid with her, and he's a toddler. She has a nanny that goes with her, you know. Can you imagine?
Is it nastier? Is it nastier?
No.
Because I know she's got a kid, right?
She's Berlin, she plays techno, I can't remember her name.
LaFleur?
No. She's got really curly hair.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But,
Steffi?
No.
But to maintain the point, the likes of LaFleur, the likes of Nastia, they do have kids and they've managed to maintain a touring schedule. So, as you say, it's changing so fast.
Yeah.
And the levelling of the playing field is happening at such a rate now that it must be very exciting to see that almost open up and completely change before your eyes and having such a major role in that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm like champion female DJs, you know. There's a little crew now, I call it our little girl gang, you know, because it's such a boys club and it's so hard to get your foot on that first step. I was so lucky that Simon, you know, took a complete chance on me because I was the only female DJ on the Defected roster for about 5 years. There was another girl, she lasted 2 years, because he won't stand for diva-ish or anything like that. You know, you have to hold your own with Defected. You know, they don't just sign anyone, and I think it's made me strive to be a better artist and to be the best person that I can be as well. You know, because I'm out there flying the flag for Defected. You know, I'm going to Australia next week, and week after that I'm in America, and you know, I have to, you know, hold my own and, you know, warming up for the likes of, you know, the late Frankie Knuckles. At one point he said he only wanted me to be his warm-up DJ in London, which is massive. You know, it's massive. And I don't take that for granted either. You know, I really don't. I've started at the bottom of the ladder at Defected, and I've worked so hard to maintain my career. I've been with them 11 years and they're 20 years old this year. And yeah, you know, warming up for like the likes of Masters at Work, Junior Jack and Kid Cream, you know, Shapeshifters. It's like these, Dennis Ferrer, they're all my heroes, but they see me as their equal. And you know, I always said when I first started out, I just want to be respected in the industry. If I have respect, then I don't need anything else.
No, exactly. I mean, all you're asking for is to be judged by the same barometer of talent that everybody else is. And having worked in artist development myself and having supported a lot of female talent over the years, I mean, I can sit here as, you know, for my sins, a white male, so to speak, and a Scouser at that, so I'm at the back of a few queues at the moment, shall we say, and ginger with it. You end up in a situation where you realise, actually, you know, there's no difference, and there was never any difference in it whatsoever.
I think that the difference being is that you never see any guys playing with like their tops off. And there was a stage where like Paris Hilton tried to have a go at it, and everyone was just like, what are you doing? And I was so angry. I was like, you're giving female DJs such a bad name because you're literally just up there, you've got your tour manager underneath the decks pressing the buttons for you, and it's like you're making it look super easy, and it really isn't. Like you're not a good role model for other female DJs. But I was saying before, there was kind of like an influx of female DJs that were playing with their boobs out and, you know, big lips, big boobs, you know, little tops on, and it's just like, you just wouldn't get that from a guy DJ.
No.
You'd get slated straight
Oh,
away.
absolutely, yeah. And do you feel like that kind of set things back?
Massively, big time, yeah, big time. And it was a good while until I started to see another wave of female DJs. For a while, I think everyone was kind of maybe a little bit put off by it, just because it had being a female DJ carried, you know, a stigma with it. So, you know, but again, that just made me work even harder to prove you can come from nothing. You know, I came from nothing. Was brought up on a council estate, hardly went to school, I've got no GCSEs, you know, but I'm sat here now, you know, hopefully inspiring people. So, you know, if you set your mind to anything, you can do it. Anything is achievable, and it's about having the right team around you. You know, I've been lucky that obviously Simon's been my mentor for, you know, 10 years plus.
Yeah.
But again, he can only, you know, what's the saying, you can lead a duck to water and then it's up to you what you do after that. So, you know, but you just have to stay focused, you have to stay strong, and you have to be really good at what you do. You know, I really nailed my craft of my mixing technique. You know, I've come from a vinyl background.
Amazing.
I played CDs. Now I roll up with a USB and headphones, and it isn't the same. It isn't the same. You know, I like to flick.
Yeah.
I'm you know, I'll play that next.
You used to work in a record
yes,
shop. Yeah.
exactly. You know, exactly. So it is different, and I think you do lose the art slightly with, you know, I'm not belittling anyone that plays or that is starting on digital, because I mean I've got my deck set up in my studio. Haven't played on them for 7 years.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there nice, and I just change the slip mats every now and again, so I get bored of looking at them. But you know, and there's DJ schools now. There wasn't back in the day when we started. You know,
Absolutely.
there's a girl that I'm championing now. She actually works on my label, Jess Bays. She actually just started out as a super fan, like weird super fan, like literally turned up to every single one of my gigs. She would always be hounding me on Twitter. And then you kind of build up that relationship with them, and it's sort of like, okay, well, come backstage with me, we'll hang out. And then she was my tour manager for 2 years, and now she runs all the social media for Divine Sounds for my label. She's my resident DJ. I've actually started a new concept where it's just Jess and I, where we do all night. You know, and she's flying now. She was actually signed to Colluded, which is Defected's artist roster, this summer. And you know, I feel really proud that I broke boundaries for that, because Simon hasn't signed another female DJ since myself. And 10 years is a long time. And I actually did a panel at ADE in Amsterdam in October, and it was on prejudice in the scene. And it was mostly kind of about female DJs, you know, because I get asked a lot, what is it like to be a female DJ in the industry? And I'm kind of lucky because I'm protected, I guess. So I kind of want to be that voice for other females and take them under my wing and protect them from, you know, because it can, I mean, I've been so lucky that I haven't been on a backlash of you know, what the stigma of female DJs. Totally lost my train of thought again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you make amazing points, and one question that I really wanted to ask was, in a weird kind of sense, the scrutiny that female DJs are actually subject to, as you say, there is greater scrutiny there. You know, I mean, I'm not exactly, when I'm out DJing, I'm not exactly scrutinised for my wardrobe choices, shall we say. And it's an interesting thing, but in a weird way, do you feel like that kind of scrutiny was almost like a source of fuel, because you wanted to really push forward and really show yourself as a master of your craft, and it really made you sort of double knuckle down in order to really push the boat out and really, you know, make a statement?
Yeah, no, totally, I agree. You know, I didn't realise how much of a kind of influencer, I guess, that I was until, kind of really until Jess came through, because people could see what I'd done for her. You know, I've opened the door, it's up to her what she does with it now. But she's kind of sidestepped, I guess. She's fast forward 5 years, so she hasn't had to always start at the bottom of lineups, where I did, you know, and it was, you know, and also it came to a point where I was just seeing loads of people fly past me, and I was like, because I wasn't making music, it's so hard. You know, I'm a female DJ that doesn't make music. It's like everything was stacked against me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did have an amazing team. I had really good agents that believed in me. And they kind of were the fuel, I guess, that I could just keep going. I think once you get that first kind of European show under your belt, the rest is easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the first time I went to Japan on my own, I was like, oh my God. And now it's a breeze, you know? It's like,
sure.
I fly all over the world on my own. And, you know, it worries the hell out of my parents. My dad's like, I have to message my dad when I literally, as I'm boarding, when I land, when I get to the hotel, when I get to the club, just so he knows where I am. But you know, that can be dangerous, a female, in any profession, travelling the world on their own. But I'm a tough cookie. I don't let anything get me down.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with you, put it that way. But in terms of, I mean, you mentioned about how, you know, some people haven't had to start from the bottom, and you obviously have, and you mentioned earlier about refining your craft by having to open for these people. Do you feel that's a bit of a lost, it's actually a bit of a lost art form, and it's something that actually a lot more young artists could do with that apprenticeship, so to speak?
Absolutely. I mean, I've just started a brand new concept called Openers, and we launched it at the end of last year. And basically the concept is that I was sick to death of crap warm-up DJs. You know, because in your head you kind of got a set. I mean, you know, you've got 40 tracks or whatever to play in 2 hours. You only need 20. And they would literally just bang out all the big Defected tracks performing. I'm like, bro, where am I going to go after this? You know, I don't know whether you think I've got some secret weapons, like, which obviously I have, but, you know, they're the Defected tracks. So I play them like they're my own anyway. You know, I put that much effort into it. And I just got sick to death of it. And they were playing like 130 BPM and I play 125. So it's like, by the time I come on, I have to bring the whole vibe down to start again and build it back up. If you've only got 2 hours and you have to bring it down to build it back up, you know yourself, it's like, it's over, it's over.
Exactly, yeah. You're effectively doing your own warm-up at that point.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing extended sets. So I actually start from when the doors open in the club, and it is so much fun.
I love it.
So much fun going back to records that I never get to play because I don't warm up anymore, I'm just a headliner. And I really, really miss warming up. So I just created my own thing and was like, okay, I'm going to warm myself up because I can't mess up myself. And then Jess goes on for an hour and then we close back to back at the end. So we do like, we do all night, it's like a 7-hour show. And it's amazing, I really get to kind of take people on a journey. And in 2 hours, you try to take people on a journey, but it's not, if you're doing 5 hours, like you can really go in. And it's really given me another kind of second win in DJing because I was getting a little bit bored, if I'm honest. You know, it's same airport, same club, same scenery on the way there, same music. It's like, it was just, I don't know, I was losing the passion for it a little bit. So I thought, I need to create something again that's going to give me my second win. And actually this is my third wind because I started feeling like that 4 years ago. So I started my own record label because it was exactly that. I needed something. When you're doing it every single weekend, however many weekends there are, you know, I never take a weekend off, ever. I took the weekend off for my wedding last year and that was it. I haven't even had a honeymoon. Like, I'm a workaholic, literally. My husband's like, we're going to go on a honeymoon soon. Like, oh no, I've got Croatia, I can't slot it in yet. But yeah.
You'd be slotting gigs in on your honeymoon?
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, just to pivot a little bit, because you mentioned a couple of interesting things before about the fact that you were a DJ that didn't make music. Did you feel like even back then that was something that made your progression through the industry a little more challenging? And do you feel like these days you have to make music in order to be
100% now, yeah, 100%. I mean, back then, I wasn't short of work. You know, Defected had me out every single weekend. So I didn't feel that I had to make music, you know? And Simon always said to me from day one, master your craft, and if you're not making Beatport top 10 tracks, don't bother. So literally that was in my head for 10 years, and it was only because I'm a massive garage girl that I did the remix of Flowers. That came up with Armada, and I was like, yeah, why not? I'll do it. And it was actually with an artist that was the very first artist that I signed to my label, so it just made sense. And I mean, now it's had like, I don't know how many millions views on YouTube. I never knew it was going to go that big. It was just something cool for my sets, because I started playing a little bit of garage in my sets at festivals. So it was just something for my sets. I actually didn't get paid for that remix. and I didn't even sign a contract for royalties. So it was a big learning curve for me.
Yeah.
Because I'd have like a nice check by now. And that kind of gave me the confidence, because I'm not a confident person in the studio. I don't like to sit there listening to the kick drum for hours. Like, that just doesn't, it doesn't excite me whatsoever. I don't like that process. I like to come in at the fun part of the arrangement.
Yeah.
You know, that's the fun part for me, because I arrange it how I want to hear it. Like I heard you earlier, it was really, really good, of how, you know, when you're putting kind of the magic to it. That's the bit that I like, the process, which is obviously the, you know, some people say it's the easy part. But I'll get it to a stage. I mean, I use a ghost producer. I'm not shy of saying that. You know, a lot of people are, but I'll be on my Instagram when I'm at the studio saying my ghostie is better than yours. You know, I think you should be honest about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely.
You know, I would have to start all over again to get in the studio, and I'm so busy with running 2 brands, a record label, you know, a family life now. You know, I've got employees on the record label. Defected is a full-time job in itself. You know, I've got management, I've got agents. So there's no way that I would have the time to go to college. And I rate anyone that is, you know, just starting out as a producer, because it looks amazing. Like, I was watching and I was like, I wish I could do that. But I just haven't got the patience. I really haven't.
Yeah, and it's also being realistic about what the best use of your time is. I mean, I've worked with some big artists. I was one of the producers on Sasha's last album.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Sasha's a phenomenal producer in his own right, but obviously he has a very similar lifestyle to you in terms of like flying around the world. And what's great about the way Sasha is, he's exactly like you. It's like, yeah, I work with Paul Nolan, I work with Barry Jameson, I put this band together of people who are better than me in the studio because they actually can get inside my head and get my ideas out. Absolutely. And it's actually a more old school way of being a producer, so to speak. Because the thing that really gets me about the prevalent attitude about production and dance music being what is that this sort of like militant attitude of like, you must do all of it yourself. I've never agreed with it, because that's like saying, well, you know, George Martin should have played drums for the Beatles when George Martin's instrument was the studio and was how he brought the Beatles to be through his technical skills. And I totally agree with you, and it's fantastic that you're so honest about where you're at. And it's interesting because a lot of people do get very angry about it. I mean, a few people in the room will know what I'm talking about, but we put, through my education platform, we put a post out this week saying, basically, if you're a new artist starting out, you are far better off focusing on production than you are on endlessly spamming people with DJ mixes. And the outrage it caused, I mean, I may as well have just said something deeply racist. Terrible. Like, the amount of trigger, it was incredible. Like, literally, I'm getting personal abuse in the inbox. Getting called a dickhead and an arsehole because I've given someone some career advice. You know, and it's crazy because, you know, it's that thing of, we have to admit that the game's changed a little bit. From our day, our mixtapes, they were our business cards. That was how we got gigs. There was no SoundCloud or Spotify or none of that. There was TDK 90-minute Pro. Exactly. That's what we had back in the day, do you know what I mean? And if you filled the track list out, you were lucky, you know? And nowadays, it is about the production more than anything. So do you feel like, with the label and the moves that you're now making in the studio, is that something that you feel as if you have to engage with in order to keep at the top level as a headliner? Well, I mean, this year I'm fully focusing on music, so I've just actually remixed another garage track, played it out first time last night, went down lovely. And you know, I want to do a couple of. I actually want to write an album, but I want it to be multi-genre. I want to do like everything that I love. I want to do a drum and bass track. I want to do an R&B track. I want to do a garage track, and I just want it to just. I mean, even if it takes me 3 years to write the album and just collab with people that I really love and respect,
like you said, you know, getting in my mind and getting the best out of me, you know, because I think it's really important when you're working with an engineer as a producer that you trust the person that you're working with, and don't be shy to say if you don't like something. You know, I've sat in the studio before and I've hated the kick drum, but I haven't said anything. That was like really, you know, really early days, and now I'm like, hate it, get rid of that, get another sound on, you know. And I just think you have to be really confident in this industry, really, really confident, you know. And if you're shy, you're kind of going to get eaten up, really.
Yeah, quiet mouth never gets fed. Is
Exactly
something
that.
I was taught from childhood.
I mean, you have to be a certain type of person to be a producer or a DJ. Certainly with like the travelling side of it is grueling, absolutely grueling. You know, I woke up sometimes and I didn't even know where I was or what day of the week it was. You know, that was when I was touring hard. Like now, said about mental health, like I've slowed down on that side now. You know, I don't just say yes to every single show. And actually it's quite an important thing to say about probably the reason why there's not so many female DJs on festival lineups is because if you have a look, every single artist on a festival lineup is a producer. And there's not many female producers. There's more now, for sure. But if you look at the people top 100, nada.
Yeah, it's a very good point. So I suppose in terms of what you could say about obviously doing more to equalise the playing field, a lot of people are putting the focus on trying to get more women in the booth. Actually, what we need to do is get more women in the studio.
On this, on the panel that I sat on before, there was a guy, he was a club owner, and I can't remember what the question was, and he was like, there's not many female DJs, and I was like, are you dumb? There's tons, it's just that they haven't got a voice. You know, it's hard to get on festival lineups if you're not making music, because festival promoters want to book ticket-selling artists, and if you're not going to sell tickets, then there's no point in booking them. But what I really, really respect Simon from this year is that, you know, he's paved the way for Jess. He signed another female DJ to Glitterbox. You know, we had Peggy Goo, we had Sarah Lloyd, DJ Kitty. Got Monkey, you know, Monkey does the radio show with me as well, and I think it's really important. I think it needs to start at the promoters, at the clubs, you know, to book more female DJs. There's no reason why they shouldn't be on lineups.
No, absolutely, I totally agree. And it's funny because I hosted a lot of panels at ADE, and there was a lot of actual like festival promoters, and it was interesting to hear the difference in opinions like across different continents. Because there was a guy at one of these panels, he was one of the biggest festival promoters in India, and he said like his whole booking strategy is completely different to what it is in Europe, where it's literally like, who's this person, how many likes have they got on Facebook, how many followers have they got on SoundCloud, good, book them.
It's really sad.
Yeah, it really is, whereas what he was saying...
Especially when you can buy them, so you don't know if they're true anyway, you know?
Well, exactly, yeah. And then, you know, the guy from India literally said, any agent or any manager who presents an artist to me for this festival that we run, the biggest festival in India, if they lead with, he's got 100,000 or she's got 100,000 likes on Facebook, it's like, we don't book them. It's purely based on sound and whether or not we like them. So I think the tide is going to start turning. As you say, there's so much fakery now with the numbers and the buying of likes, etc., that it's almost become a false metric in a way. And like you say, there's a responsibility for promoters to actually give more opportunities to women and up-and-coming women and also up-and-coming artists across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first ever party that I put on it in London, I booked 27 female DJs. You know, we sold it out on a Thursday night, and we're actually going to revisit that because I run a charity event called DeVita for breast cancer research, and we donate all the ticket money and we take like 10% of the bar and we donate it to breast cancer charities. And I'm actually going to do another one this year just to prove my point that there are a lot of female talent out there, just to prove the point.
Amazing. So we've got about 10 minutes left, so maybe we spin it out to some questions from the audience. Yeah, cool. Any questions? Just mate.
With your label, where could I find your demo box to send our music over to?
Oh, cool. Have you got anything on you now?
Probably got anything on now. Probably SoundCloud, I think.
You have, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, just give it to me after. I'll listen to it, yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
There you go. Yeah.
With Divine Sounds, what do you think is the sort of USP of Divine Sounds and what makes it different to the other labels? Because obviously it's, you know, there's effects and then there's times within it. Yeah. So what made it different?
Well, I actually started Divine Sounds because I had some time off and I found some artists on SoundCloud and they literally had about like 30 followers, but I was playing their tracks in my peak time sets and I was like, why are these dudes not getting picked up? Like this, the music is amazing. It was actually Curtis Gabriel was the first artist that I signed. And I literally had a lunch meeting with my manager and he was like, I was generally really annoyed that, you know, these guys weren't being signed. And he was like, why don't you just start your own label then and sign them? Yeah. Literally, that's what I did. And I really pride myself with Divine Sounds is that it's a family, you know, and we bring through up and coming talent that haven't, you know, that can't get on big labels. They're not banging hard enough on the doors. So we're almost like a platform for them. You know, my end goal is if I sign an artist, I want them to be signed on Defected. You know, that's the you know, the long-term goal. You sign with us and you know, you're part of our family, but obviously I want bigger for you, you know, and I'm under no illusion that Defected is one of the biggest record labels, house record labels on the universe. You know, I want my artists to do well, and it's all about growing them organically and taking them when they're either young or fresh out the studio, you know, and I can kind of nurture that process for them. So I think I don't know how anyone else does it, other record labels, I don't know, but that's how we do it at Divine Sounds, and it's like a real family, you know. If you're signed to us, then we book you for our parties. You know, we've got parties in London, Miami, festivals, and I don't know, I'm like the mother hen, I guess.
It's not just a one-off thing, it's like...
No, I have a game plan with them, you know, I don't just want you just to sign one record and then see you later. I want to be able to get, you know, an EP, and then we put you on a sampler, then you play at our parties, and it's like, it's a process. I really just take people under the wing, I guess.
No, it's refreshing because actually a lot of the labels at the moment are literally just take a song, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing is, you know, with most tracks nowadays, they've probably got, unless you're making a timeless track, and it's like a house track, but for tech house, they've probably got a 6-month shelf life, and then you're playing something else. Whereas with a proper house track, this is what I say to producers, you know, I get sent so much music, like it's ridiculous. It's overwhelming how much music I get sent. I can't get through everything, you know, I've got another 2 people in my team to go through music. And what really annoys me, and I hope guys, if you've done this, it's fine, it's a learning curve, okay, but people putting samples in their tracks and ripping house samples, right? If you're ripping an R&B sample with Aaliyah, God rest her soul, she's dead, right? But someone like, I don't know, like a really famous house record, basically you're robbing someone else's work. You know, that's not yours to sell, that's not your work to give away. So get in the studio with a singer, easier said than done, I guess that, but the end goal, that should be your goal as a producer. Get in the studio with a live singer. You know, because if you're using samples off a free royalty pack, great, we'll take that. But still, it's not going to have the longevity of a proper song. It's just food for thought.
No, it is, absolutely. And like you say, there's so much music out there that is ultimately quite sort of throwaway, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of it is to do with the democratisation of the technology. And it's the difference between being able to operate software and get a track out and actually being able to write an actual piece of music that is actually...
But that separates the girls from the women and the boys from the men, you know? It's like, do you want to be, you know, do you want to be something different in this industry? Someone that stands out for, you know, the music that they make or, you know, their stage presence, you know? It could be something as simple as that. But yeah, rip it grates me so much, people ripping other people's work. It's not yours to sell or give away, you know? It's like, yeah.
So, as a final question, just in the last couple of minutes, what would your advice to be to, say for example, if you were starting out, your younger self, if you were starting out in 2019, what advice would you give?
Branding. Branding is everything. Get yourself, You know, you have to really believe what you're doing. You have to believe that you're an artist, and you have to believe that you're going to be in this game for however many years that, you know, that you want to be in the game for. You know, it's not just like, right, this year. Yeah, have a year plan, have a 6-month plan, have a 10-year plan. I think that's really, really important, because that's why there's so many artists just coming and going, so many throwaway records, you know, you're playing them and then the next week you're not playing them because there's something else better out. It's taking the time. You know, with Confessions, it took me 15 months to get that track like over the line, because I road tested it for ages. Then the vocal wasn't right on it. We actually flew the vocalist. She was from Australia. She was in Amsterdam. I booked a studio, got her in the studio. It's like the whole process of that track, and that was 4 years ago, and I can still play it now and still get a massive reaction. You know, it's like, because I'm so fully developed on the track. So I think branding's really important. Get yourself a logo. Get yourself a name that people can pronounce. I do the radio show every week. Oh my God. Some of the names, I'm like, I can't pronounce it. I have to put it into like Google Translate. So if I can't say it or remember it, then it's not a memorable name. Like, I think that's really important. It's like really basic stuff, but it's really, really important. You know, get yourself SoundCloud, Spotify, you know, Instagram, and build your brand. You know, like you said, it's not about, no one listens to mixes anymore. Everyone's on Spotify. You know, you just got your single tracks, you've got your playlist. So, yeah, branding, and, you know, if you're starting out, there's some really good workshops around, you know. I mean, I only had a little bit of it, and I was just like, yeah, that's wicked. You know, people should come to more things like this for a start. It's really important to be around other like-minded people and just network. The number one rule in the music industry is network.
Relationships more than anything.
Absolutely. People remember you, you know. It's like first impressions on people, you know. I get loads of people come up to me in the club, like, I'm going to send your tracks wicked, but if you give me a USB and it's got some cool stuff on it, do you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know, it's just, stand out. Yeah. Stand out. Yeah. Because that is what's going to, you know, get people's attention.
I've always advised people 2 things in my sort of like 10 plus years of helping people in the industry. Make a good brew and don't be a dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically. And that will take you to more places than you would ever think is possible.
Yeah,
and you know, there's a deeper message in that, but ultimately it's about being real, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
about developing real relationships with people.
But it's also about knowing your history as well. You know, you want to earn money out of the music industry, then know your history. There's loads of books, there's loads of documentaries. You know, I find it mind-blowing if I say Frankie Knuckles to a 17-year-old and they don't know who I'm talking about. I'm like, what? I get like really annoyed about that. But, you know, it's how far you want to commit yourself. Yeah. If you're willing to go that extra mile, go above and beyond, then you will get somewhere. And it is as simple as that.
And on that wonderful note, I think we'll call it a day there. I could sit here all night and talk to you about these various things.
I'm a waffler. I'm such a waffler.
Yeah, and you get put on stage with somebody like me. Telling you, well, thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks very much, guys.